Have you ever wondered about what you eat is made of? What if one day you bought a box of frozen buffalo chicken and it said that it was made from real flying bison? Or what if you were in a family of 7, there was only one chicken for the whole family to enjoy, but everybody got a drumstick? Wouldn't this be quite a nightmare? To the majority of everyone here, this will surely seem to be just a bunch of jokes. But don't be surprised. Some of the things that I've just mentioned are no longer things from tomorrow. Really, aren't some of the things that can happen in our world of GMOs nowadays? Hello, my name is Daniel Park, and I'll be explaining about GMOs, their uses, and their impacts. So first of all, what is a genetically modified organism, which is short for GMO? It is basically an organism with its genetic structures changed. One example of a GMO is the Roundup Ready canola, which is made by inserting the gene of a soil bacteria to normal canola so that the canola plant can survive being in contact with Roundup, which is an extremely toxic pesticide. Other examples of GMOs include things such as salmon inserted with the gene of fast development so that they can produce more meat in a short amount of time than other breeds of salmon that are normal. Don't these ideas and methods seem like extremely good ideas? They make work easier and even produce better quality products. But if you have thought as this, you're more than wrong. Entering genes that are unnatural to an organism can result in unpredicted problems, such as the modified organisms creating mutations that can be dangerous, or other wild organisms obtain the special genes of the GMOs through crossbreeding or pollination. Currently, GMOs in North America are manufactured by numerous biotech companies such as Monsanto, DuPont, and Syngenta. There are 4 main foods that are GMO in Canada and are widely used, which are corn, soy, canola, and sugar. Now let's take a look at the GMO crops. Of the many GMO crops that are used around the world, say for example Monsanto's BT corn, which is made by inserting genes into normal corn's DNA that make the corn itself produce toxins that kill any pests that attempt to eat it, such as beetles or worms. Before, to the original corn, there were many insect pests that would heavily damage their population and quality of food, and farmers would use numerous chemicals such as Roundup to kill these pests. So, soon, the BT corn was invented to protect the plant, reduce the use of insecticide, and last of all, save money that is put into the processes. The BT corn proved to be very effective for the past 10 years, but ever since the past 10 years passed, one of the pests from the original corn, called the rootworms, developed resistance to the BT corn. And as you could think, it can no longer be killed by the BT corn itself. It eventually came to farmers having to use way more chemicals and pesticides than before to deal with this rootworms that have now become pesticide resistant. This resulted in more pollution and the drop in the quality of crops. Furthermore, GMO producers claim that GMOs increase crop yields to help poor countries, but this is not exactly true. The GMO crops used to produce more yields in the past, they no longer do nowadays, due to the fact that, like how I said before, GMO crops have created superbugs that are resistant to pesticides and herbicides. And GMO crops are rather likely to kill pollinators that are vital to the reproduction of crops, which you can see from the example of how the population of monarch butterflies have dropped by 90% after the development of GMO crops. This can cause dangerous situations, such as devastating food shortages, due to the fact that much of the crop that we eat can only reproduce through pollination, which is usually done by pollinators, such as bees and butterflies. How can this be safe for us to use, and how can this be safe for our environment? Independent scientists have raised serious concern as well about health risks associated with GMOs, including organ damage, allergies, and tumors. There was actually an experiment conducted on lab rats using GMO corn that was herbicide resistant. And at the end, do you know how it all turned out? The lab rats that only fed on the GMO corn had developed devastating tumors and heavy organ damage. You might simply think that these things cannot ever happen to you because these are rats and we are humans. But you must remember that modern GMOs have been only around for approximately 20 years. And there's been no long-term test to figure out possible future problems that could occur in the next 10 to 20 years. And you can see how GMOs are negatively attacking people through the fact how the cases of organ damage, tumors, and allergies has significantly increased since the development of GMOs. Even if we all stay fine during our generation, how can we know if the problems that occur to the rats could occur to our next generations? And last of all, remember how there were many things that we believe to be very safe, such as nuclear power plants and DDT, which is a pesticide. But as you know, all of these things turned out at the end to be extremely dangerous. After working on the speech, I began to think that GMOs should be labeled so that people can at least make their right choices for what they'd like to eat. Or GMOs should be at least tested longer so that it does not create dangerous threats in the future. There are some methods to avoid buying GMOs, which is first of all to buy organic food, which are normally labeled differently as organic from GMO foods. And it is also a good idea to cook healthy meals at home instead of buying processed foods, because processed foods usually carry GMOs. And as a conclusion, I say, for the sake of our health and environment, we should make our choices wisely regarding GMOs. Thank you.